All right, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're going to have United Soccer Coaches CEO and former standout goalkeeper himself, Geoff VanDeusen, on in about 10 minutes or so. Right now, we're just going to be sharing this out to the GK community, so we will see you guys in a few minutes. Grab your favorite beverage, your favorite food, all that sort of thing. And any questions you guys got, put them in the chat, guys. Let's do it. Let's make this happen. Again, guys, starting in about 10 minutes, we are talking leadership. What's next in store for United Soccer Coaches in regards to goalkeeping education, all that fun stuff. Again, guys, starting in about 10 minutes or so. Again, guys, starting in a few minutes right now, guys. Geoff VanDeusen, CEO of United Soccer Coaches. Again, guys, we're starting in a few minutes right now. CEO of United Soccer Coaches, Geoff VanDeusen. We're going to be talking about leadership and the goalkeeping curriculum coming forward in 2022, United Soccer Coaches, et cetera, what he's learned from being a goalkeeper, all that fun stuff. So put your questions and comments in the comment section, guys. It's going to be good. Hey, Saskia Weber.
Hello.
Hello, community. Hello, community. Oh, boy. Look at me. See, I got my swag.
You're ready to go, Mike.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go to Kansas City in January.
I will tell you, it was 56. It's 56 degrees there today.
Oh, that's not bad at all. That's unseasonably warm, I think.
I hope I didn't jinx it.
We're gonna show up. It's gonna be 12 degrees there.
No, I'm like, I don't have those kind of clothes anymore. Like,
I was like talking to a friend. I was like, no, it'd be fun. It's like I can go sledding. It's like, where do you think you're going? You're going to Kansas City. You're not going to Aspen. Like, no sledding in Kansas City.
I know. I keep looking at like the weather report. I'm like, I don't know. It's in the middle of the country, so it's not that bad.
No, we'll have to talk to Geoff because I believe he lives there. Well, actually, speak of the devil, he's right there.
Says I'm in the show.
You are in the show, dude.
Right.
You're in the show.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. What's up, Brandon? How are you, man? Can he hear? Oh, can you guys
We
hear
can
us?
hear you.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, all right.
How's that?
Look at that.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, sir? That sounds fantastic.
I'm good. You're okay with this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. If I move it away
Absolutely.
a little bit, that's okay. You've been in the office.
Yeah.
And I moved into the corner office, and I get this great natural light probably for the next 45 minutes. But maybe if I'm saying some bad things or not what you want, or I drop a cuss bomb or something like that, that maybe will, and then we've got an advanced ring light. This is what you mean by a ring light, right? So
We're still getting them set up. Don't worry.
Hold up.
We'll get them the full setup.
Hold up, Brandon. Aren't you an influencer? Don't you have the whole huge
borrowed
social
my
media
mic.
channel?
Yeah, he's borrowing my mic. Don't worry. We'll get them all set up, though.
You look
he
great.
asked if I wanted the headphones, and I was like, I might get some ear fungus or something. So
I think
Oh
you
my
can
God.
market that ring light.
that's right. So no, I
Absolutely.
think we're good.
Well, good luck. Let me know.
All right.
Let me know how it goes.
Thank you.
Oh, I think it's gonna going fantastic. Oh, is Brandon not gonna stay and stick around and watch? He's just
I think
leaving?
he's probably gonna. I think he's probably gonna log in. Hopefully, so at least we'll have one
Oh.
person listening to me.
At least one person. All right, we'll
that?
get started in about 1 minute or so. That's good with you. Oh, I'm humming again. I wasn't humming before, Saskia. I
Mike,
just started doing it just now.
it's like your form of Tourette's.
I think it is. I think you're.
There's
I think
nothing
you're
wrong
actually
with
kinda
it.
Right. No, it's just a subconscious thing that I do, and I can't help
It's okay. It's like, it's like waiting music in an elevator. We're all good.
it. Okay. All right. Well, let's get started. Here we go. Oh, hold on. We already got a comment in here. Plus one more. Oh, there we go. Andrea says plus one more. All right, here we go. All right, and let me find this fun thing. And here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me, none other than 99 World Cup winner Saskia Weber. No Omar Zini Pro GK Academy today because he's too busy having a coaching staff meeting. That's what they call those things, apparently, at the Las Vegas Lights. I don't know. It's Las Vegas. You never know what they could be doing. But that's okay because we're joined by a legitimate celebrity right here, guys. This guy is literally, we're going to Kansas City next week for the United Soccer Coaches Convention, and literally none of this would be possible if this human being didn't do 17 different jobs. We got the CEO of United Soccer Coaches himself and former standout goalkeeper, Geoff VanDeusen, joining us. What's up, man?
It's great to be here, and I'm excited to welcome everybody to Kansas City next week.
We
I
were
bet,
talking
I
about that.
Go ahead.
Saskia and I, we were talking about that earlier. She was saying it's 57 degrees there right now. That's unseasonably warm.
I'm wearing shorts.
Well, it was warmer there this morning than it was here in California. So I was like, all right, I'm good.
Kansas City is literally in the middle of America, right? So we get all we get all kinds of good weather, get all kinds of bad weather. But it's kind of funny because usually on the West Coast, you get some weather like yesterday, and then today we get it, and then the East Coast will get it tomorrow. So it goes right through here. It's a great city.
You're kind of the filter.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna lie, honestly, Geoff. Like one of the things I'm looking forward to is like when somebody from United Soccer Coaches sent the list of the recommended restaurants. I was like, ooh,
you got to get some barbecue.
Absolutely, you got to get some barbecue.
Kansas City barbecue.
Let me tell you, I don't have that goalkeeper body anymore because the restaurants are here so good.
And none of us do. Well, I haven't seen Mike's body in a while, but none of us do.
I'm still training hard. Today's an off day for me, but I've been training. We were supposed to start our season. My men's league team. We were supposed to start our season again tomorrow, Thursday night. But it's been postponed a few weeks because there's apparently something going on in the world. Anyway, we'll stay away from that for right now. We'll keep this a little more evergreen. Anyway, Geoff, we're not going to make it an entire cooking show, although I would love to just talk, honestly, Kansas City food for an entire hour. But for people out there who don't know, maybe they're living in another country, they have no idea what we're referring to. What is the United Soccer Coaches Convention, and why is this thing so massive?
Wow. Well, it's an amazing event, and what it really is in a nutshell, it's the largest gathering of soccer coaches and administrators in the world. It is comprised of 225 education sessions over 5 days. We actually build 2 small stadiums with artificial surface, goals, field boards, video screens, and bleachers. And then we also have a third demonstration field, which is a futsal floor with bleachers and field boards and all that. And then we also have a bunch of lectures. And the lectures consist of panels, round tables, and one-on-one sessions. And you could float from one to the other during your 5 days here. It is also where we gather to celebrate coaches' achievements and players' achievements, where we honor all the coaches of the year, the staffs of the year, the players of the year, the All-Americans. We've got 200,000 square feet of exhibit hall space. So there's
200,000.
Yes.
I don't know math very well, but that sounds
that's big.
Very big.
Put it this way: your apartment's like 500 square feet here.
There you go.
Kansas City, that's a garage.
That's right. That's like as long as it is to drive from Kansas City to Denver. That's what it looks like. And Mike, so your apartment of 500 square feet would be one booth, and we've got about 250 companies that come in and share the latest and greatest, and we call it, this is where the business of soccer is done. And then, of course, we have the social side of things, where we're responsible for 30 meal functions and socials, and that's where who you are as a coach or who you coach is kind of represented in our advocacy socials. We have college coaches social, we have a high school breakfast, a coaches of women's breakfast. So it's an opportunity for coaches to come in and network and be a part of things and learn from each other. Not only are you learning from the lecture sessions, but you're also eating, drinking, sleeping, walking, talking soccer for 5 days, and you just get immersed in it. Heck, you could come for 1 day and you're going to want to stay for 2 or 3, but it goes on for 5 days.
We're staying for the entire thing, and hopefully we'll have some semblance of at least 1 or 2 hours of sleep every night. But honestly, Geoff, talking about the lectures and stuff like that. First off, we're humbled that we're presenting. Obviously we're on Podcast Row with the podcast, but we're also presenting. So shout out to Charlie and Verso, who's put us on the panel, along with a guy named Eric Winalda. I've heard of him, I think, before.
He's done all right in the game.
Yeah, he's done okay in the game.
I love Eric because you're going to hear exactly what Eric thinks, right?
Exactly. Him and Susky are going to do great together.
Yep. Yep, me and Eric have no problem whatsoever.
That's awesome.
So let's kind of jump a little bit into this topic right here, Geoff. Obviously, we were talking about the fact that you were a goalkeeper before, and now you're involved on the business side of things, and still involved with the game, too. But one of the things that we've always been talking about a lot on this show is leadership, and it's such a massive component. So, like, when you think of leadership, like, what do you think of specifically?
Well, it's first of all, I think everything that I have is from the game, and the leadership lessons, a lot of my qualities that I've had. I had great parents, don't get me wrong, but I think I learned so much from being around the game and being a goalkeeper. And ultimately, I think goalkeepers make great leaders for a lot of different reasons. And, when I think of leadership, to answer your question, and this is something that when I was going through the almost 9 hours of interviews to get the CEO job, leadership is this for me. It's providing the vision. It's empowering the staff. It's empowering others to carry out your vision. It's supporting those that you empower. And as my job as CEO is to not to tell them how to do their job, it's to open their minds and stretch them to areas of their expertise or their skill sets to do a good job, and also to provide them with resources to get their job done, right? So if they need more technology, if they need more budget numbers, or they need a collection of people to help them to carry out their job, that's it. So it's vision, empowerment, and support. And then ultimately I have to inspire them, right?
I love this. I love this, Geoff, because right now, sorry to cut you off, but I feel like I'm in a TED Talk for leadership and empowerment. Like this is the kind of stuff you're gonna get at
Tony
United
Robbins
Soccer
is
Coaches
coming on
Convention.
next.
Yeah, right. Well, Tony Robbins is a lot better looking than me, so he's a lot more successful. But we're getting there.
I beg to differ.
Well, I appreciate that. Hey. Look, I this is what I'm going to do every day, and when I come into the office to our staff, I learned a lot of this, and a lot of this can relate to a goalkeeper, right? They have the vision of the field, right? They see the big picture, right? They're empowering their players in front of them from the standpoint of your right back and your left back and your center backs. And what are your midfielders doing? They're empowered to do a certain job and carry out the coach's vision, right? Then the goalkeeper's job is to support, right? And even pick a player up when they're down, or support them verbally with direct communication of how they want a player to turn them in, turn them out, right? Man on, all of that good stuff. And then, of course, you've got the inspiration. So, hey, great play, good job, whatever, Mike. Well done. You got nutmegged, but you recovered well. Those types of
that's
things,
me. That's me right there.
Right?
That's definitely me right there.
I think it all boils down to those four things: the vision, the empowerment, the support, and inspiration. And that's my leadership style. And I think I learned a lot of that while picking the ball out of the back of the net and throwing it back to midfield, I think.
See, Saskia learned that from keeping the ball out of the net, and never being like, oh, we have to. That person setting an example. We have to do it just like
Right.
We'll just believe that.
One more piece to this, and it's going to sound a little crazy, but my job is not to have a job. And what do I mean by that? And how that relates even to goalkeeping is, if I provide the vision, I empower my staff or my players, I support them in the way that they needed to be supported, and I continue to inspire them, guess what? Then my ultimate job is to make the final decision, or to make the final save, right? So if those four things break down, then I have to make a save. I have to make the final decision. Right. But my job is not to have a job. And my job is to have a clean sheet at the end of the day, and hopefully I don't touch the ball.
Exactly. The greatest save a goalkeeper can make is no save at all. And that comes from organization, communication, and everything. So I totally agree. And that can carry over into leadership outside.
Suska, just one thing that you're saying right there, that I honestly, Geoff, I love what you just said, right there. And I never even thought about that. And it's actually making me approach business in a completely different way from now on. Is then to realize that if you can compartmentalize, Susk, right? Like you can compartmentalize, like you're on your coaching staff, right? One of the problems that a lot of people have, when they come on, obviously not your UCLA staff, but some other staffs, let's say in the past, where one person's doing all the work and other people are just kind of sitting around. If you're not compartmentalizing, then you are kind of sometimes going to have to be called on to because one person can't do everything. You need to work as a team.
You got it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And as a leader, to be able to designate those responsibilities and set them aside evenly, on the field, to be able to identify problems right away and be able to handle them and communicate and organize and everything. It's the same thing off the field.
Yeah. You got it. I would hate to see you running out and try and put pressure on that player that's trying to attack us, right? And then try and get back to the 18 and make the save.
Just do everything.
Right? But that's it. And that boils down to even in coaching, right? You can't tell the players all the time and what they need to do. That's your job in training.
Thank you for saying that, because Mike knows that I have the biggest problem with, let's say, field player coaches out there that are joysticking, and I can't stand that. I'm like, what do we do all week in training? We present them with these problems to solve, and then we have to allow them, number one, to put those things into work during the game. There are many solutions to one problem, and see if they can figure it out. But those coaches that sit there and try to control and joystick and do everything, you got to step back. You got to trust in your coaching and your education, and hope, and then you can address it if there's a systemic problem that they keep doing over and over again. But believe in your ability to lead and believe in your coaching.
So you just described my leadership style there. Provide the vision and training.
Yep.
Support them with the training session, right? And then empower them into making the right decisions, and then inspire them whether they make the right decisions or they don't.
And that's my style as well. Absolutely.
So there you go. You could be a CEO.
There we go. Saskia Weber, CEO. There we go. she's like,
CEO in my own world.
But honestly, Geoff, one of the things that you said right there, and I think it's very difficult for young goalkeepers to recognize this, because I think young goalkeepers, they're standing there, and let's just say they're in moments of, and we've talked about this, obviously, Suska, on the show before, of just, moments of inactivity, and they feel they have to instigate something. They have to do something. They can't leave well enough alone. They think, well, I have to say something, but your shape is good. Your team has the ball at the on the attacking third. Your team is the shape is solid, and they're playing possession over there. There is nothing. All you're going to do is cause stress. I mean, I don't know, Suska, how you feel, but all you're going to do is cause stress.
You don't want to give information that you don't need to give. So, I had keepers this weekend that were like telling forwards to shoot. And I'm just like, in small side and ID camp, I'm like, do you want them to turn around and call keeper for you? Which no keeper wants anybody to do. And I was just like, that's not productive. And they're tuning you out, and they're not listening to you. So, in that instance, no, that's the wrong communication and the wrong leadership. What is the right leadership is, when we are in the attacking third, is to just do your checks and balances. Make sure your outside back is tucked in. Make sure if there's a breakdown in our attacking third, that we're immediately in the right position defensively to stifle any sort of a counterattack. And you can do that. You're not just sitting there dormant. You're always kind of checking over your shoulder, checking to the left, checking to the right, seeing where people are, and just taking those, like I said, that checklist and making sure people are in place. But, telling people to shoot, that's not your place.
One of the things that I did when I was a goalkeeper, and I was always under fire because I never played on very good teams, but I would almost be the broadcaster of the game.
Oh my God. You and I, are you like my brother? What's going on here?
But if you're broadcasting the game and you're almost pretending like you're on the radio painting this picture, right, of what the players should be doing, and then your eyes are wandering, and you're always taking a look and glancing to the field and who's in supporting roles, who's open on the far side, those type of things. And then when we lose possession of the ball, what are we doing to do? And I think that really helped me become confident in the 18, right? And making sure that I could read the game and I could communicate the game appropriately. Because then all of a sudden it just became second nature. Now I was just saying those things out loud.
It's so funny you say that, because I used to do that in my head as well. It's like almost like I was the commentator, like in my head, like, okay, this person goes, okay, blah, 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 Mia's dribbling down and so on and so forth. But at the same time, you're talking to yourself, and not everything has to be out loud, but if your outside back is way too wide and we're on the right-hand side, and it looks like we might turn the ball over, you have to, because you're constantly involved in the game and talking to yourself in a sense and checking everything and organizing everything in your head, then immediately before that breakdown, you're already ahead of the game. And you could say, hey, Pam or Joe, tuck in on your left-hand side a little bit, watch the possibility of through ball and stuff. And it doesn't have to be screaming or yelling. It's just talking. I think Paul Blodgett, I was on with him the other day, and he gave a good thing. There has to be different tones in your voice, so that, if we are in the attacking third and I'm up outside of my box, like in position, I can talk to my outside backs, like, hey, so-and-so, tuck in a little bit and stuff, and just talk to them, because, they're kind of in a dormant, not involved state as well. But then when we come and we're in the defensive third and stuff, my heightened voice and everything, it registers differently and people respond to it. It's not always yelling and screaming.
One of the things that, Saskia, that you said right there, Geoff, and I want to kind of ask you about this, because Saskia, you were bringing up the fact is like, just I kind of edit it myself and then I give the information that I need to give. And kind of like in business, I'm thinking it's kind of actually the same type of thing. Like if you get all this information and you're always CCing everybody on it and you're sending all this out, it's overwhelming to people. So you have to kind of filter out what they need to know in order to get their job done. Or if you give it to them, might start trying to do a job they're not supposed to be doing. Because
if you give it to everybody, it's not going to get done.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say this. This is a big topic. So we have this big event coming next week. I have 125 staff that work this event. We have put together something called the go-to sheet. Right. So when I was the director of operations and events, yes, did I know almost everything that was going on and where things needed to be and all that? Yes, I did. But if you were to come to me, you were going to wait, because I was probably doing 5 other things.
Right.
And so this is your direct person that you have to go to get the answer that you need to get your job done. And so if you blanket and you email or text 5 different people, you've got 5 different people trying to solve that problem. And maybe that's 10 minutes a person. That's 50 minutes of work that's done to solve your one issue. Go to the person that can help you. Right. Same with your direct. Yeah. Same with goalkeeping. Direct communication. Don't say, hey, would someone cover number 18?
Yeah.
Tell somebody to cover 18.
Well, it's the bystander effect in psychology. Yeah. So, and it's the bystander effect. If there's an accident, a car accident, and everybody rushes over to see what happened, if you say call 911, nobody's going to call 911. But if you say, hey, Mike, call 911, now the responsibility is yours. So in business, if you send out a mass email to everybody to get something done, everybody's going to think somebody else did it, right? So you have to have those little compartments of who's on that team, who's doing it, who's the head of that team, and say, hey, Mike, this is what we need done. And now the responsibility lies on you, period.
Yeah,
and it gets done.
I just want to say, Geoff, thank God for having this podcast with you before we go to Kansas City, because I've got a very different attitude to how I'll approach Kansas City next week after having this discussion with you.
Now Mike's going to be like, Saskia, get this done. Saskia, get that
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. I'm going to create this to-go list or whatever, the to-do sheet.
Saskia, I'm going to see you, and you're going to be like, I'm doing 5 things for Mike. So
yeah,
that's right.
And he's over there having coffee.
That's right.
Well, look, the job of a great CEO, and I'm not the CEO.
Delegate responsibility, baby. Delegate responsibility. I do it great.
Right? Your job's not to have a job. That's what I said earlier,
exactly.
right?
I'm like, who can do this the best? Okay.
Geoff, I want to bring this kind of back to coaching, because obviously it is a coaches convention going on next week, and I think one of the issues that a lot of young coaches have out there is they go, oh well, my young goalkeepers, that person's not wired this way, and then they try to force them to try to be something they're not. Whereas, I mean, I think, Geoff, you would probably say that leaders can come in all different shapes and sizes, right, and different personalities.
Absolutely. If you're thinking about goalkeepers that are maybe not wired to be communication experts or verbally loud or want to have that direct communication, number one, maybe have them lead by example. Try to have them be the hardest working player on the field, right? The other one I felt is, how do you manage your emotions? If you give up a dumb goal, and believe me, my nickname was Civ as a goalkeeper, right? And I gave up plenty of dumb goals. But how did I manage my emotions? Was my body language all shrugged and pissed off or whatever? Or did I get up and say, let's go? And how did my verbal cues tell my team how they should react? Naturally, a goalkeeper is a leadership position, because you're the only one that can use your hands, right? And you're your last line of defense. And you're either the GOAT or the hero. You've got all that. But managing your emotions and being the hardest working player on the field is leadership roles.
Yeah, it is. It's automatically leadership role. It's automatically a captain position, whether you're a captain or not. You have a view of the whole field when everything's breaking down, and it's your job to communicate and verbalize. And, off the field, if you are like quiet and, recluse, that's fine. There's a place and a time for your communication and your direction. Make sure that I agree with leading by example. And I 100% agree that your body language and your attitude speaks volumes. I've seen goalkeepers, I won't talk about the game and the goal or anything like that, but I've seen goalkeepers that after you give up a goal, and it could be in the first half, that you're like, shit, I can curse, by the way, you're like, shit, and they're sitting there, and I'm like, I don't yell, I don't do anything on the field, but if you want to see me yell, I'll be like, get your ass up right now. That's not what your team needs to see. Your team needs to see, okay, this happened, rebound, let's go. If every time a forward missed a shot and they sat there and moped for a couple minutes, got up slow and slowly jogged back.
Isn't that what they all do? That's what they all do, though. They put their hands up.
I have no time for it, because you know what happens? You got that forward up there moping, the ball gets played out, plays back in, and now they're freaking off sides because they're up there like crying in their boots. You got 20 more chances to score that goal, so just get up, shake it off, and run back. But the same thing goes for the goalkeepers. I have no anything for forwards. Shut up.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the presentation with you and Winalda together. What this is gonna be like.
I have nothing. I'm like, you missed the shot. It was a sitter. It was inside the 6, and it was harder to miss the goal than it was to put it in. So don't look at me if I give up a bad goal.
That's right. Don't let one mistake turn into 2 mistakes because you can't control your emotions.
Exactly.
And you know what? Ted Lasso said it best. You got to be a goldfish, right?
Yeah, that's right. By the way, I love the fact that at United Soccer Coaches next week at the convention, there's a bunch of Ted Lasso courses, which is awesome to me. I was like, never would I've thought, like years ago when I saw that NBC promo, that'd be like, you know what? This guy is going to inspire coaching leadership. But shout out to that show's awesome.
To that point, already in my 12 days on the job, I've used be curious, not judgmental. I've used that already several times. I could tell you that. So it's truth.
Yeah.
One thing, Geoff, that I was just thinking about right here in regards to don't let one mistake follow another mistake. And
I feel it all the time, and you know that. I
know you do. You say it all the time, but and I feel like a lot of leaders out there, you can kind of tell the difference between a goalkeeper that's willing to to take responsibility and then just move forward with it, and another goalkeeper that's more focused on themselves and their own actions as opposed to the team dynamic. And I'm sure it's the same thing in business, I'm sure, where if somebody screws up, instead of complaining and yelling at them and berating them and everything, it's really about getting the job done and moving forward, right?
Yeah. And what can we learn from that? What can we learn from the mistake? Did it critically cripple the company? Probably not. But how do we learn from that? And how do we use that as a group learning activity to say, hey, look, we tried this. It was a noble try. Maybe next time we've got to go this direction, or we could change it this way. And then it works. And then all of a sudden we've learned from that and we go forward. And, if a coach is berating their team or their goalkeeper or what, because of a critical mistake, then what does that do to the big picture? Obviously that gives your teammates an opportunity to have less confidence in your players, in your goalkeeper and all that. And it's just the big picture that doesn't inspire anybody.
Well, and a lot of times in your mind as a goalkeeper, if you get bogged down in the mistake, so it could be in the run of play. So if we take it into goalkeeping, okay, so you were supposed to come out for a through ball that you mistimed and you didn't come for. So now what are you going to do, right? So you're in the run of play. So are you still going to come? Which, by the way, that's the second mistake, right? So, okay, I was supposed to come. We're talking about young goalkeepers. I didn't come. So now I'm still going to come. I'm just going to run right by them. I'm going to pass it in the goal. Or are you going to readjust in that moment and say, okay, I didn't do the first thing right. And obviously you're not going to take the time to say, oh, I didn't do the first thing right. But you didn't do the first thing right. But now how can I readjust and make up for that? The ball's not in the back of the net yet. Right. So now let me close some space. Let me see the next touch. I shouldn't have let them get that touch on the through ball, but they had the touch. So now how am I going to deal with the situation? But if you get bogged down in your first mistake and then follow it by the wrong decision, then you're not. That's on you. That's on you. You can make a mistake and make up for it by making the right next decision.
And one thing I was just thinking about this, Geoff, in regards to obviously, the coaching courses with United Soccer coaches, I've noticed, and just in coaching courses in general, just in around the world, have really been evolving. Because, I'll be straight up honest. I remember when I first started taking coaching courses, whether it was NSCAA or Federation or whatever, out there, it was much more focused on the tactics, the X's and O's, that sort of a thing. And it seems like now courses are much more about teaching people how to coach rather than what to coach.
I agree with that. I think that's really a strong foundation of how we build our coaches courses and how we educate. We want to teach you how to coach. And, we almost have the DMV model here, the Department of Motor Vehicles, where, my daughter, I got a 14-year-old daughter right now that's learning how to drive. Well,
oh boy.
I did not send her to the DMV to learn how to coach or to drive, right? I sent her to Johnny Rowland's driving school. There's a plug.
Wait, that's a real place? I thought you were just making something.
No, it is. He's believe me, I know that name because of what it costs. And but she got a great experience on learning how to drive and be a defensive driver, right? And that's what I think we are. I think we teach coaches how to coach. And you can go anywhere for your X's and O's, and coaching's become a people management business. And that's where we're going with our education. I really feel strongly about giving coaches, whether goalkeeper coaches or head coaches or assistant coaches, giving them the tools and how to manage people as well as manage the game.
Yeah, especially with goalkeeping. Look, it's a very interesting position in the sense that, not everybody's different. You have to be able to manage, with me at UCLA last season, I had 5 goalkeepers. Everybody's different abilities, different sizes, different everything. So not everybody can be coached the same way. There are fundamentals that can be coached, but, there's different positionings, different, building their strengths and stuff like that. And you have to be able to, as a coach, not blanketly coach everybody the same. you have to be able, like I said, there are fundamentals that are the same, but then there is differences. And you have to be able to do that. And that is the same in business as well.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things in regards to that is that I feel like as a young coach, Geoff, and again, it's no fault of the programs or everything, but I think it was just the evolution of how we've just been approaching athletics in general over the last few years. And Susky and I, we've talked about this. I think the pandemic has helped a lot of this too. In regards to it, one positive is it's just the amount of networking and the amount of communication with other coaches that we might not necessarily. Yes, maybe we meet at the convention once a year, but now this whole kind of consistent over and over again of different ideas and thoughts and everything. But like, I always thought that what I was coaching was so important. What I was coaching, and obviously it is important. You don't want to say the wrong things, quote unquote. But I never really thought about like the tone I was delivering something, when I was delivering something, who I was delivering it to. I coached a 9-year-old the same way I was coaching a 19-year-old because I didn't know any better. Nobody had taught me that, and maybe I should have had the common sense, but, and I think that's one thing that you guys are doing now with the different courses, the youth courses and the adult courses and everything like that. So people kind of understand the difference between working with different groups.
Yeah, I think that is an incredible analogy or statement of who you need to coach and who you need to be aware of who you're coaching. I'm excited and at the convention, you're going to see all the different topics of goalkeepers and I'm looking at the titles of the sessions. Female goalkeepers, the rewards and challenges, cooperation between the head coach and other staff and goalkeeper coach, principles of playing in possession, qualities of the modern goalkeeper, the demands of the game. Some of these are the titles of the sessions. None of them are saying dealing with crosses or the breakaway,
Exactly.
That type of thing.
Or even the one we're doing, the mind of the attacking player. It's like that's something that we've talked about this before, but as goalkeepers, and I'm sure when you're talking about
we had Michelle Akers on the podcast to talk about the mind of who better to have on the podcast, the mind of the attacking player. I was like, you guys actually think? I didn't know.
No, but you also need to know.
I love you, Mish. I'm just kidding.
But when you're, let's say you're when you're negotiating or something like that in business, I'm just trying to use a context right here. You need to know what the other person's thinking. You need to have an idea of where they're coming from, and then I think it's a similar situation when it comes to either coaching or it comes to playing. You need to know either what your opponent is thinking or what your player, who's your teammate or essentially your coworker, is thinking, so that you guys can work together.
And sometimes you have to tell them how and what they need to think, right? It's that's an interesting piece to that comment as well. Is this is how you need to approach it. This is the way you need to approach it. And you could be weary of a great attacking team that puts all kinds of pressure on you. And what am I going to do as a coach? Is I'm going to tell my team how they need to prepare for that, right, and how they need to approach it.
Right.
And so same thing with even facing the penalty kick, right? How are you going to approach this? Are you going to be submissive, or are you going to attack this? And sometimes you need to tell those players how they need to think.
If it's me in goal for a penalty kick, I'm being submissive. I'm just like, I'm just gonna go one. I'm just gonna run. Hopefully the ball hits me.
You to dive in the right direction, just one direction the whole time.
Yeah. I'm kidding, guys. Anybody who works with me, I'm totally kidding. Please don't listen to what I say on this show. It's tongue in cheek. But we actually have a really good point right here from Andreas, and I mean, I'm not. He goes, managing people. Unfortunately, coaches in college and even at the pro level, I don't know if I want to say terrible. That's a little bit negating right there. But let's just say that they could be better with connecting with players. They don't.
I think this is too big of a blanket statement, Andreas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue, Says.
Andreas, I don't agree with you at all. I think they don't care to get to know people and stuff. I think that I'm the total opposite as a coach, and I obviously coach at UCLA. So I think that the one thing I do pride myself on is I do get to know my players individually. And what I said before is that I have to coach each one of my goalkeepers differently. There is a blanket technical side of goalkeeping, but there's also an individual and personal side. And I have to manage and handle all those different personalities, all their different strengths and weaknesses differently. And so, and I would say my entire staff did that as well with the field players. So I do not agree with you.
Sorry, I didn't add several before, Coach.
Okay. I'm like, whoa, what?
Also, let's tie this into another point. When maybe you've got a very verbal goalkeeper, right? You've got a very verbal goalkeeper that wants to communicate and that talks all the time, and we're naturally attracted to that goalkeeper. Oh, they must be good. They know how to talk the game, and they must be very passionate. Where you might have a little bit more of a submissive communicator in goal, and that oftentimes that is almost viewed as, hey, maybe they're not as passionate or not as good, or they don't see the game as well. But if you don't have that personal relationship to kind of get through that, slice through that, you just assume, and you've got to get to know those people and those goalkeepers and understand what makes them tick. Yeah. Just because they're quiet doesn't mean that they're not as passionate.
And it doesn't, and also you have to pay attention to the verbiage that they're giving. Like you can talk all you want and be chatty Cathy if your instructions are going on deaf ears. They're going on deaf ears, maybe because you're talking too much.
Kind of like me on this podcast.
Omar's not on right now, so you're actually getting a word in.
Don't worry, Geoff. We've had some where I know we try to say like keep it to like a minute to 2 minutes.
I've sat here like this
to let somebody else respond. We've had some people where I'm like, oh, the edit, and like someone else that like Omar will send a text. It's like, oh boy, he's like, I'm glad I'm not editing this one. But
it's also the quality of the information, and
absolutely.
And so I had a goalkeeper this weekend and an ID camp that I was chatty Cathy talking away and nobody was listening to her because it's all she was doing. And I was like, and then I have one that was really quiet, but when she gave information, people listened because it was direct, on point, and that's all she needed to give. And so you got to know that. You got to know the different personalities and how to kind of curtail them into the right communication at the right time.
I think one problem, and to kind of Andreas's point right here, I kind of get where he's going with this, but I think one of the problems is, and Geoff, and this is something that I know that you guys have been discussing in your coaching courses and everything like that, is that you can't try to get a goalkeeper or any player that doesn't matter to be you, because they're a different person. And if you try to coach them to be how you would want to be coached, well, that's not going to work because they're not you. You
got it. And it's the same thing here with our 27 staff members that we have in the national office. I want them to be individual. I don't want them to be me. Same as your coaching staff. I don't want just yes people. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, then I'm just telling people how to do their jobs. That is the opposite of my leadership style. I provide the vision. I empower them to make decisions. I support them and I inspire them. That's my job as a leader.
Absolutely. And you also don't want your staff to come in and try to mimic somebody else and try to be you. You bring those people in because they are individuals. They have their own strengths and weaknesses. And, if you just hired everybody that was trying to be the same person, well, then you don't need 25 people on your staff. And with goalkeeping, I had a freshman come in that tried so hard to be what the starting goalkeeper was at that time. And I'm like, we didn't bring you in here to be another Lauren. I brought you in here because you have your own strengths and stuff like that, and we'll work on your weaknesses. Stop doing stuff that's outside of your wheelhouse. You're a different goalkeeper.
And when you're saying that right there, I'm thinking about this, Geoff, obviously with Steph. By the way, I honestly feel like I'm learning so much here just about being a leader and working in business. Can you just teach Are you teaching? Please tell me you're giving something like this like at convention, because like I need to go. I know you're a little busy there, but
Mike, I think you're playing yourself down. I actually think you are
okay.
good. I do. I think you are.
Well, thank you.
You have your. I'm sorry, I'm not like whatever. I almost said something that would have come across wrong, but I'm not patting you on the head. I'll put it that way. I'm just saying you also have to realize what your strengths are in business with the union and with inside the 18 and everything. You have some serious strengths. You have to do things that I don't do and I can't do, which is why I'm always deferring to you.
but that's also going
She's
back.
very good at delegating. She's great at
I'm
delegating.
so good at
responsibility.
delegating. I will own that. I am absolutely.
But let's add that to the point from the earlier podcast in saying that's that personal relationship. That's understanding what Mike does well, what you do well, and what you each bring to the show. And that's why this show is successful. And the best coaches, in my opinions, take the best talent and the best qualities and put them in the right spots to succeed. And that's my job as the CEO. And that was my job when I was a college coach, a youth coach, or a high school coach. And I think the best coaches see that talent, understand what that talent is, and put them into stressful and put them in stressful situations, but also then see how they react to that. And then you're going to have the best outcomes because you have those personal relationships and understand what each player's qualities are.
See, one thing, Geoff, that you said right there, and first off, the fact that like you,
that's not me. I put mine on.
That is a call that I will have to call back and take.
Oh my. Okay. Well, hopefully. It's good.
Take it now. I want you to take it now.
I can't take it live on air. I can't take it live on air because it could be bad.
I honestly wish we could have just done this during the Las Vegas Lights coaching staff meeting to see what they really do in the off season at the Las Vegas Lights coaching staff meeting. Since Omar's not here, we should have just.
I think we should do that live. Let's all meet there and do it live. Let's do that.
No, and it's not.
But when take off when you got to take off. Oh, Rafael Soto says he's calling. That's. But Geoff, I think the fact that I honestly think that doing things such as coaching and kind of taking back to the coaching tip and everything like that has helped prepare you to work on the other side and work on the executive side and everything like that. Because if you didn't, I think a lot of people who've never worked in a team environment like that, it's very difficult sometimes. And I think a lot of goalkeeper coaches have never worked in a team environment because they've just done private lessons or whatever sort of thing. Then they get on their first staff and they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to work together. So
this is my January 1st was my 11th year at the association. I coached 22 seasons at the college level. I coached high school. I coached youth. And Joe Cummings was the CEO at the time. I was his first external hire. He wanted me to come to Kansas City from University of Indianapolis and come be a part of his directors and be a part of the leadership of the national office. And when this job came open, when Lynn announced that she was stepping down, I had to do a lot of self-reflection. And did I want this job? Can I be effective in this job? What do I want to see this job look like? What's success? All that good stuff. And I called Joe and I said, I'm interested in the job. I said, why did you hire me, Joe? And he said, Geoff, he said, I did not hire you because you had an event background, because I didn't. I have a master's degree in elementary education curriculum. And he said, you have vision, you have potential leadership capabilities, and you were a coach and you understand what coaches need. And so when I always put together the convention, and I was responsible for the education and I was responsible for the big vision of what that convention looks like, my first and foremost was always think like the attendee. What does the attendee want? And that is powerful. And when you start thinking about what does your player want, or how does your player want to receive that information, and that is powerful. So again, that's one of my core values. It's going to be one of our internal core values is think like the member.
Yeah, I agree with that so much because I'll go back to those coaches that yell at the sideline when a mistake happens or something like that, and I always look at it the same way. Like, think like my goalkeeper's thinking right now. Do you think my goalkeeper doesn't know that they just made a mistake? Do you think that my goalkeeper knows that they just shanked that side volley? So you want me to get up and yell at them? They already know it. Like, so how am I going to move forward from this and help lift them up and help like snap them out of it? Or am I going to just like hammer them down right now and be like, they know they made a mistake? What kind of coaching or direction am I giving if I'm just reiterating that they made the mistake? The whole world knows they made the mistake.
And if the coach can't manage their emotions,
exactly,
how can they expect the player to manage their emotions?
Thank you. Exactly.
And that's one of the things too, is that I can't tell you how many times I've gotten frustrated when I was a younger coach because I feel like I wanted it more than the player did, or that I had different desires, or why is so-and-so not so concerned about this coach coming to watch them play or to move up to this team or whatever. And then I started realizing, I was like, look at all the energy that I'm putting into what I want out of this experience, as opposed to asking them what do they want out of the experience, because every kid is going to be different. And it's the same thing also too with working with different staffs. Some staffs want their goalkeeper coach to be involved in this, and then some coaches want their goalkeeper coach to be involved in this. And if you don't know and you just start doing because you were with another staff or this is what you think they want you to do, then it's going to be all over the place. So
also you have to stay true to your core values. Like for me, I will never let anybody bully, like any other head coach, bully me into like acting like they do. And I've had coaches turn to me and say, what is she doing? Basically go yell at her. I'm like, no. I'm like, that's not who I am, and that's not what the goalkeeper needs right now. And you hired me to judge this individual and their emotions, and I'm not doing that. But a lot of young coaches fall into, well, this is what they're doing, so this is what I have to do, and that's not it. Stick by your philosophies and your values, and your players will respect you for that.
Geoff,
as your workers will.
I want to ask this because I think one thing that I've heard from a lot of parents is that they say, my son or daughter, they should be the captain. They should be the captain. They should be the captain. And I find this to be such negative energy, because essentially you're saying that if this person doesn't have a little badge on them, then they're not going to be a leader. Like, Geoff, what do you say to parents like this?
That's a great question. And I reply to them and say, well, tell me why you think they should be.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of steamrolls the conversation. Well, and if they make some good points, say, hey, thanks, I'll definitely take a look at that and maybe if you don't like what they or don't agree what that parent is saying, you can just say, hey, look, this is what I'm seeing. How can we come up with a plan to help your son or daughter work on some of the things that I see? And raise the or elevate what you see.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I never cared about being a captain or anything.
Yeah.
I know we're getting like dumbing this down, but because I automatically knew as a goalkeeper I was a leader.
Mm-hmm. And that's something, and that's an interesting. We could do probably a whole topic of this. I really never wanted my goalkeepers to be a captain because they're in their own world, right?
Yeah.
And they have so much to think about and do that. And they're automatically a leader.
Yeah.
And unless you have someone that is amazing at everything, why can't they be a captain off the field and they're already in a leadership position? And it's that's an interesting topic.
Yeah,
Speaking of leadership position, Suska, I believe you've got to go and perform some leadership right now, don't you?
I do. Just wish me luck, you guys. I'll tell you why I had to jump off when I see you, Geoff. I'm really excited. I haven't been to a convention. I won't age myself, but I'm sure we'll all figure it out in a long time. And I'm really looking forward to it. I really am. And I'm looking forward to some barbecue.
Well, yeah, please. Well, we've got a lot of other good bars and restaurants around just down the convention center. That's what's cool about Kansas City is everything's compact and it's a campus environment, right? The convention
nice.
center, all the hotels, all the bars and restaurants are literally 2 blocks away. And it's a great city. There's a lot of hidden bars and restaurants, and anywhere you go, I promise you won't be disappointed.
I'm holding you to that, but I believe it. I believe it.
I mean, I know you're going to be busy there, Geoff, and we'll continue on when Saskia takes off because there's still a few more things that I'd love to chat about if you have a few more minutes. If you're
Absolutely
totally done with that.
Geoff, I will see you in a week.
Okay, I look forward to it.
All right,
Later,
bye,
Saskia.
All right.
So now that Saskia's gone, we can just talk about, no, I'm just totally kidding. I was just going to say like the negatives of her coaching. No, I'm totally kidding. That's not a leader. A leader wouldn't do that. I want to talk about the curriculum. Obviously, Ian Barker, Lisa Cole have been instrumental in kind of reimagining, for lack of a better term, how you present your goalkeeper education program, and it's changed a little bit because the game has changed and everything. So what are kind of some of the evolutions that you've seen lately with maybe not even just the goalkeeper courses, but the other courses in general that we might see from it's a little bit different than maybe a couple of years ago?
Well, I think in general, our courses and where I want to take our education going forward is we need to diversify a little bit more on what we're offering and content wise and how we're bringing that to the coaches. I want to make sure that we're able to meet the coaches where they are with better technology, even more considering now it can be online and digital content. And we've done a great job with our hybrid courses. Ian was absolutely a leader in this kind of revolution to where we want to go, but we're going to take it a step farther, even going down the line here into the future, technology-wise and the content that we're bringing. Really going down the line of coaching as a people management business. So, Lisa Cole has done an amazing job, and earlier it was set the goalkeeping curriculum and putting an emphasis on goalkeeping, just the position itself, but also how do you integrate the goalkeeper into your team training. And that was really set by Tony DeCicco. And then really a new vision of what's going on with has been then elevated by Lisa Cole. And Lisa Cole's a national team coach, and she's got some great experience. But what makes her a great deliver of content is she's a great coach educator. She's a teacher, and that's what's important. And all our academy staff are great teachers, and I think that's an important way that we give our education. So as far as specifically for goalkeeping, the convention is a collection of former professional players, a collection of current national team coaches, and it's amazing. I think the collection of coaches that Lisa has put together to deliver this goalkeeping education at the event. So you're talking, I think we've got 10 sessions that are strictly on goalkeeping, and I think that's an amazing opportunity to come and learn about goalkeeping. But it's also an opportunity for head coaches who might not have a goalkeeping background on how to learn about goalkeeping as well.
Yeah. And I think I love the fact that you just brought that up right there, because I think that's one issue that I've seen a lot of times when it comes to the way that goalkeeper coaches are, not goalkeeper coaches, but courses are presented to the mainstream, is they make it look like this is just for goalkeepers. And again, I feel like there's so much information out there when it comes to the X's and O's and the presentations and all that sort of a thing that yes, that's great to learn all of that. But, one of the problems that we have, and this, Geoff, is that a lot of outfield coaches don't take the time to learn about goalkeeping. And if we start showing those courses as something that for you to learn about goalkeeping so that you know how to work with a goalkeeper, because you spend more time with goalkeepers than we do. You really do. You really do. You know, you're in vans on the weekends with them and everything like that. You know, maybe your club has the resources to have the goalkeeper coach go to the games, but you know, with youth clubs, there's 70 teams. So, you know, I think it's just so important the way that Lisa's doing it, where she's trying to make it so that every session is so people know how to incorporate a goalkeeper, not teach them how to collapse dive, you know. So.
Correct. And I think you can go to a lot of places to get the technical aspects of goalkeeping. Obviously we're one of them, but we want to go a step further. We want to be able to teach those coaches how to integrate those goalkeepers in training. Back when I was a goalkeeper, it was the coach, hey, we'll see you in 20 minutes. You guys go warm up. And I'm looking around like, what do we do? So we stand there for 15 minutes and volley the ball back and forth, right? And we stretch a little bit and we look like we're doing it. We look like we're trying to be productive. Or you've got the inevitable, we're going to show up to the field on early and I'm just going to have my whole team, take shots from the 18-yard or from the top of the 18. And, that's not productive at all. So I think these coaches need to learn how to incorporate their goalkeepers into team training and how important a proper warm-up is.
And I think also another thing too, that when I'm seeing in regards to the different courses that we have going on right there, is that there used to be, for lack of a better term, there was I don't want to say an old guard, but there was a specific group of people that were either going to convention or doing presentations, and that wasn't representative of our actual community, our football community, especially in this country right here. And I think one of the things that I really want to shout out all you guys at United Soccer Coaches is just the diversity that I'm seeing now in regards to these presentations. It's not one way, my way. This is the way it's done, the United Soccer Coaches way. No, you have different personalities from different areas of the country or the world that sometimes may have disagreeing viewpoints,
And I think that builds a healthier coach, because I can take pieces from this session. I can take pieces from that session. I can take pieces from even other sports. And, one of the things that I'd really like to do is even take some successful coaches from other sports and learn how they're creating efficiencies in their training. Last week, I had the pleasure of spending some time with Mark Krikorian at the Mac Herman Award ceremony. And he tells me that every Tuesday he goes to the Florida State football practice. He spends an hour with them, and he just observes how coaches, how their coaches are interacting with their players and how efficient they are in their training sessions and what are they doing. And he'll go and he'll go down and talk with them. And you think about football and linemen and their footwork. So guess what? Their footwork needs to be precise, as a goalkeeper's does, right? And so they're not turning and blocking a player and then tripping their quarterback or their running back. So they have to be precise in what they're training. So I think that's an amazing example of a coach that coaches at the highest college level. It's obviously very successful and national champion, and he's turning out professional players left and right. But how he's going to learn and incorporate learning from other sports into and to make his job better.
I love what you just said right there, because I think that there's a tendency, at least from a lot of people out there, and I was a culprit of this too when I was younger, is that even just in our own game, we're just thinking, well, this has nothing to do. This about midfielders. This has nothing to do with goalkeeping. Why would I go to this course and listen to this guy talk about what a number 6's role is? It's not going to benefit me. And then I started recognizing, oh my gosh, how little I actually know about the game, because I'm not learning the entire game. And then also that coaching is coaching, regardless of what sport or activity it is. I mean, business coaching. My gosh, you just gave a bunch of business pointers right there, all from the field that translate right there. I mean, I should have been taking notes, man. But
we'll see in another year whether it works or not, right?
I mean, that's right. Hey, 10 days on the job, so far so good, right? Now, how does that work exactly with convention? Does that mean somebody else is running events next week?
Yes.
Okay.
So we've elevated. My assistant for the last 7 years has been Erica Dyer. She's taken on the convention role. I've just hired a chief operating officer too that has a great event background, and together they're going to execute this event. And I'm here if they need me. But again, my job is not to have a job, and my job is to welcome everybody to Kansas City and congratulate all the coaches on successful years, to be visible and to really listen to our membership and what do they need. And my job will be done and after the convention, where I really need to really hone in and make our staff and stretch our staff to their capabilities. And that's
what are some of, like, I mean, I don't know if you obviously can divulge anything, that you had just in a staff meeting or anything like that, but are there any specifics that you already have spoken about, moving forward into 22 and 23 in regards to how you guys want to start incorporating new things that may not necessarily have been in convention before or been with the coaching courses in the past?
Well, here's what we're going to do. I gave my first staff meeting on the 4th of January, which was our first day back in the office, and I called it CEO Vision. And I laid out the vision of where I want this association to go, and what I really interviewed on, and kind of where my leadership style and what I want to see. And I said, first and foremost, all eyes and all hands on deck as far as making sure our attendees have a great convention week. I said that when we come back, we'll decompress a little bit, we'll evaluate, but then when we get into February, we're having tactical meetings. We are bringing everybody in that is on the national office staff. We're gonna really push up our sleeves. We're gonna evaluate, almost like a SWOT analysis, right? But we're gonna build tactical plans. We're bringing clarity and alignment across the board onto how do we integrate marketing into everything that we're doing, and systemizing what we're doing. As far as membership and how we're growing as an association. So that's really going to start in February. And but ultimately right now it's just being as supportive as I possibly can and going into this event next week.
We have a comment right here in the comments section, and there's a couple things. One is that I think Rafael Soto had this earlier, and I'm just going to see if I can find this right here. So this is very important information here. He says, he wants to know, when will you be offering the level 2 and 3 goalkeeper coach certification course in Texas, which I think you probably can find on the website. And he made this comment as well too. Please include GK's coach certification in Texas, both in English and Spanish, please. / por favor.
Sí. And Rafael, thank you for that comment. And I will say, this is something that we're exploring. Education in Spanish. And this is something that we're working with our Latino coaches group on. It is something that I have talked with our board about. And I think you will see some of the education coming out in Spanish in the near future. It's not an easy thing to do, just from the standpoint of, the translation. But I really think that this is on the agenda. It's on the radar. It's on my big whiteboard. So I think this is something that you will see in the near future that's going to happen. As far as coming to Texas, I love Texas. I've been down there once already since I was named CEO. I was at the Tasco High School Coaches event and met with quite a few of our members down there. And this was a thing. This was a topic on the agenda as well. So it's very much on my to-do list. So thank you for that comment.
So while we're wrapping up right here, and first off, thanks for taking all the time. I know this is an insanely busy time. Maybe not as busy as it was when you were running the convention, but still very, 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 very busy. A time for you. While we're wrapping up right here, I just have, if there's any coaches that are listening right now, or even young goalkeepers out there, if there's any information out there that you think that they should seek out that's not goalkeeper specific. And again, I want to encourage goalkeeper coaches and young players to think outside the box. I mean, I love the fact that you have, people like Doug, coming, who are not, necessarily a team coach, but they're a coach of coaches type of thing, and just the art of coaching. Like, what do you recommend they look out for?
Well, I think ultimately UnitedSoccerCoaches.org is a great resource, and being a member of our association, we have an online resource library that is filled with thousands of activities and content. If you're a member, you also have free access to coaching education for different levels and I think I would encourage you to explore our website. If you're looking specifically about the convention, we have UnitedSoccerCoachesConvention.org. I think that will give you a great idea. There's some videos on there of shows you exactly what the convention is. And I just think that there are so many tools that we will provide you as being a member of our association. I think those benefits and those tools and those resources will grow for you over the next 6, 8, 12 months. And it's exciting time to be a member. It's exciting time to be the CEO. This association is in solid grounds, and I'm really excited to take advantage of some of the resources that I've inherited, and looking forward to that. One of that would be coaching education in Spanish.
Look at that, man. That's easy and succinct right there. Well, honestly, guys, Geoff, honestly, thanks for taking all this time, man. If people want to reach out to you directly, probably wait till after the convention, right?
I would appreciate that, yeah. Or just come up and introduce yourself. I appreciate that at the convention. I'm probably going to be the only one wearing a tie, so I'll be easy to spot. Everybody else is in, their coaching clothes and polos and stuff, but I feel like I need to dress up a little bit there.
You got to go to every banquet and event now, and gala and everything now, right?
Oh my gosh, I have 26 meetings. I have to give 6 speeches, and I'm telling you, it's gonna put my miles on. I actually have a couple handlers that are helping me get me to where I need to be. It's actually going to be quite impressive, I think, as far as how I maneuver through the convention.
Oh my gosh. And guys, obviously, if you want to reach out to us, contact it inside the 18 media. That's the number 18media.com, or at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms. But really the easiest thing, guys, is come by next week.
Absolutely.
January 19th to the 23rd, United Soccer Coaches Convention, Kansas City. You can still make it, y'all. See how I said y'all? That's Kansas City, right? That's you. Do you do y'all there?
Not really, but we'll take it.
Fine, we'll take it. You can still make it, guys. You can still make it out there. We'll be on Podcast Row. Also Saturday at 3:30 Central Time, obviously in Kansas City. We will be on the panel for the mind of the attacking player. It'll be myself, Eric Winalda. See how I put myself before Eric Winalda? No, Eric Winalda, Saskia Weber, Omar Zini, myself, Charlie Inverso. And we might have one more special guest, guys. It's going to be awesome. Eric's going to be there telling us how we're completely wrong about what an attacking player really is thinking in that moment, and we'll be able to solve a lot of problems for a lot of young goalkeepers out there.
Can I give one more shameless plug here?
Sure, absolutely.
Well,
do you want me to put it in the comments too?
Included in your convention registration is all the sessions that are recorded.
Wow.
So you're going to go home and receive access to all the sessions. So at any given time, I think there's 10 sessions, and you can only go to 1 or 2 at a time. And you're going to be able to go home and get more content and have all the recorded sessions. And I say that from the standpoint that sometimes I'd love to say that they're all included every session, but sometimes, it's technology, right? So, but all recorded sessions are part of the convention program.
That's awesome, man. So because that's the thing too, and I think a lot of people don't realize that, because they go there and it's overwhelming. You go, there's 17 different presentations going on at this hour. I can't go to every single one. How am I going to be able to check them all out? But now you can do it through the magic of technology. So
download the app and you can see you can customize your schedule. You can see all the presenters. You can organize yourself that way, and that's what I strongly encourage.
Brilliant, man. All right, guys. And if you want to reach out to me directly, at Michael Magid or michaelmagidcomedy.com for my tour schedule. I am headlining in San Diego, February 18th to the 20th. Not soccer related, but you got to throw the plugs in there, right? Right, Geoff? You got to do it when you can.
Absolutely.
And also, guys, the official launch of the Union Sports union.com or Union Sports on Apple and Google Play stores is next week. Shout out to everybody who's been involved with the union. We will be at convention showing you how the union works. That's all the time on Inside the 18. Geoff, if you can stay on for a second, we are out. Later, guys.